Assault on the Walls by Stephen Meehan. Tarian stood atop the partially constructed walls as his gaze swept across the writhing mass of monsters. As he surveyed a source of his nightmares, he rubbed his brow when he recognized the tallest among them. The colonists had debated names for the hulking brutes with misshapen and grotesque features, but ogres had stuck. Truthfully, they were the reason the colony was constructing a more permanent defense. Keldon climbed the stairs and clapped his friend's back.
Tell me I'm not imagining that their numbers are growing.
I wish it was your imagination, Kel.
Tarian rubbed his eyes as he turned to face his friend.
Even if it's not growing, it appears to be every time I look.
It could be worse.
Keldon said, tapping the wall with his foot.
Fortunately, we've already built this much of our defenses.
It's fortunate we've managed this much.
Tarian said, bouncing his fist against the surface.
Though based on everything we saw before entering the atmosphere, we shouldn't have required it.
Keldon licked his lips as he stared over at the writhing monsters. After several moments, he clapped Tarian's back.
It's still bothering you, isn't it?
With a stiff nod, Tarian slammed his fists on the wall.
Of course it bothers me. I wouldn't have imagined results like those could have been created naturally.
Keldon pressed his hands together as his eyes flicked to Tarian.
Normally, I wouldn't argue with you.
What do you mean, normally?
Based on Sherry's scans from orbit and what we've performed post-crash, there's no lab on this planet. Nothing's manufacturing those beasts.
Tarian turned, slamming his fist against the wall, his stomach twisting. He fixed his eyes on the seething horde below.
Then explain how those things have the DNA of our missing people?
I can't explain it.
Keldon said, rubbing his neck as he turned to face the colonists, meandering below them.
Have you changed your mind about telling the others?
No.
Tarian said, shaking his head.
That knowledge burdens us as it is. We don't have to burden everyone. For now, we'll keep it to you, me, and Sherry. If it spreads, I'm not sure what'll happen to our survival.
Keldon's eyes fluttered as he retrieved his telescope to survey the horde.
Tarian?
What now?
We're about to have the first real test of these defenses.
Keldon pointed at the monsters as they surged forward, clawed feet pounding the earth. Without waiting, Tarian grabbed his radio and began rattling off orders.
All hands to the walls. We're under attack.
While the colonists were slower than Tarian would have preferred, fortunately they'd produced several automated turrets that helped blunt the charging horde. Plasma bolts raced across the sky, searing flesh in bursts of sickly green and orange. The ogres bellowed as they staggered back, while the smaller creatures shrieked, darting between fallen bodies. As the defenses whittled down the initial wave, Tarian and Keldon joined the bombardment. By the time the smaller and quicker creatures reached the walls, the rest of the colonists had joined the fray, unleashing a steady barrage of fire upon the monsters. As the defenders fired shot after shot, Tarian's pulse steadied despite the chaos. The air filled with the acrid scent of scorched flesh as howls answered the barrage. He barely registered the battle beyond his immediate targets. His focus was absolute. When the last creature fell, Tarian surveyed the battlefield. The walls did exactly what they were designed to do. They blunted the horde. Keldon released his rifle, letting it hang by his strap as he cleaned his brow.
What now?
We grab samples for Sherry before we burn the bodies,
Tarian said, resting his hands on his rifle.
I'm sick and tired of having to make new entries into our species database,
A colonist said behind them, unleashing a groan. Tarian and Keldon exchanged weary looks before leading a group of volunteers to carry out their grim duties. Among the corpses they found two new types of monsters. One surpassed any colonist's height, yet fell short of the ogres. Its pale green skin was almost human-like. In fact, if not for the jagged tusks emerging from their mouths and the grotesquely elongated arms, Tarian could have mistaken them for sickly colonists. Despite having numerous variations of that initial creature, the second substantial newcomer was smaller than anything else. It was barely the size of a teenager, though its skin was a darker green than its larger variant. Also, their tusks and arms were substantially shorter. Were these younger versions of the paler green creatures? Or were they something else entirely? When Sherry arrived, she wove through the burning piles until she reached Tarian and Keldon.
Have you already started collecting samples? Or will I be required to douse the flames in order to collect them?
Without a word, Tarian handed over a rattling sack.
I've already collected samples from all the new entities, as well as some from those we've already identified.
She grabbed the sack and lifted it, her eyes widening as the heft dragged her arm down.
You've been busy. I'll need some help.
It's not wise to expand the underlying knowledge behind these things.
I can appreciate that.
With a nod, Sherry laid the sack on her back.
However, you've provided more work than I'm capable of completing on any day. Another individual, such as Liam, will lighten the burden and allow us to process all these samples without a significant delay.
Fine.
Tarian said, his fingers digging into his temples. A younger colonist rushed from the wall.
2 more colonists are missing.
How?
Tarian asked.
We don't know.
His gut churned. The battle wasn't the actual fight. Instead, the genuine conflict had been hidden from their view. And now, 2 more colonists were gone. With a ferocious curse, Tarian snatched up the accelerant and doused the nearest pile. After lighting it, he watched as flames consumed the bodies, but it didn't consume the guilt bearing down on him. With that, our story concludes. I hope you've enjoyed today's reprieve from your daily grind. If you like the vibe, hit that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, because every bit helps get this channel spread to those who require a momentary chance to unwind. I'll see you for the next tale, my friends.